Once upon a time, there was a little girl who lived in a village near the forest. Whenever she went out, the little girl wore a red riding cloak. So everyone in the village called her Little Red Riding Hood. One morning, Little Red Riding Hood asked her mother if she could go visit her grandmother, as it had been a while since they'd seen each other.
That's a good idea.
Then they packed a nice basket for Little Red Riding Hood to take to her grandmother. When the basket was ready, the little girl put on her red cloak and kissed her mother goodbye.
Remember this, go straight to Grandma's house. Don't dawdle along the way, and please don't talk to strangers. The woods are dangerous.
Don't worry, Mommy. I'll be careful. But when Little Red Riding Hood noticed some lovely flowers in the woods, she forgot her promise to her mother. She picked a few, watched the butterflies flit about for a while, listened to the frogs. Little Red Riding Hood was enjoying the warm summer days so much that she didn't notice a dark shadow approaching out of the forest behind her. Suddenly, the wolf appeared beside her.
What are you doing out here, little girl?
The wolf asked in a voice as friendly as he could muster. I'm on my way to see my grandmother who lives through the forest near the brook. Little Red Riding Hood replied. Then she realized how late she was, quickly excused herself, rushing down the path to her grandma's house. The wolf, in the meantime, took a shortcut. The wolf, a little out of breath from running, arrived at Grandma's and knocked lightly at the door.
Oh, thank goodness, dear. Come in. I was worried sick that something had happened to you in the forest,
said Grandma, thinking that the knock was her granddaughter. The wolf let himself in. Poor Granny did not have time to say another word before the wolf gobbled her up. The wolf let out a satisfied burp and then poked through Granny's wardrobe to find the nightgown that he liked. He added the frilly sleeping cap and for good measure dabbed some of Granny's perfume. A few minutes later, Red Riding Hood knocked on the door. The wolf jumped into bed and pulled the covers over his nose.
Who is it?
It's me, Little Red Riding Hood.
Oh, how lovely. Do come in, my dear,
croaked the wolf. When Little Red Riding Hood entered the little cottage, she could scarcely recognize her grandmother. Grandmother, your voice sounds so odd. Is something the matter?
Oh, I just have touch of a cold.
But grandmother, what big ears you have!
The better to hear you, my dear.
But grandmother, what big eyes you have!
The better to see you with, my dear.
But grandmother, what big teeth you have! and he leaped out of the bed and began to chase the little girl. Almost too late, Little Red Riding Hood realized that the person in the bed was not her grandmother, but the hungry wolf. She ran across the room and through the door shouting,
Help! Wolf! Help! Wolf!
as loudly as she could. A woodsman who was chopping logs nearby heard her cry and ran towards the cottage as fast as he could. He grabbed the wolf and made him spit out the poor grandmother, who was a bit frazzled by the whole experience, but still in one piece. Oh, Grandma, I was so scared. I'll never speak to strangers or dawdle in the forest again.
There, child. You've learned an important lesson. Thank goodness you shouted loud enough for this kind woodsman to hear you.
The woodsman now caught the wolf and carried him deep into the forest, where he wouldn't bother people any longer. The Little Red Riding Hood and her grandmother had a nice lunch and a long chat.